My friends, I've waited so long to zoom in from the military map to this location once again. Yeah, let's go, baby. The Kerch bridge. This line right here, Putin's baby, Putin's pride and jewel. It was one of his lifetime goals to connect the Crimea to mainland Russia, and he had this bridge, the Kerch bridge, built, and he was so proud of it. And also it is responsible for most of Russia's logistic in the Ukrainian invasion. Southern Ukraine and Crimea get most of their supplies over this bridge with rail, and this bridge was attacked. 17th of July around 3 a.m. explosions started happening on the bridge. Everything you see, all of the footage you see right here is from the destruction of the bridge. Not the first time, but the second time of 17th of July. And as you can see, I am shining because I've been waiting for this. I've been telling many times that Ukraine can blow up this bridge if they want to, but they haven't chosen to because a lot of Russians living in Crimea, Russian-minded people, need to leave the peninsula. And how can they do that if there's no bridge? Well, now it finally happened. One span of the bridge is completely destroyed and one lane is shifted downwards, so you cannot use it. The traffic is still possible, the railway is still working, but the bridge has to be repaired for months to be fully functional again. And Ukraine has proved that they can destroy it, so is it even point of repairing this bridge because Ukraine will attack it again? I love how United States Secretary of State Antony Blinken commented on the attack of the bridge. The United States is monitoring the situation. Ukraine itself decides how to conduct military operations. It's like, they're doing all right. We don't have to interfere. Blinken obviously approves. Putin and Russian officials have been so proud about the Russian defenses around the bridge. They have said that this is the most well-defended installation in whole of Russia. This is the defenses of the Kerch bridge, according to Putin and the Russian officials. We have divers, military vessels. We have anti-air systems S-400. We have Buk, OSA and Pointires anti-air systems. We have Su-30s flying up above. We have satellite defense. We have Ilyushin 38s making circles above the bridge. We have more anti-air defenses on the other side, so on the mainland Russia side of the bridge. In between, on the little island, we have shoulder fire anti-air missiles. Troops are ready to shoot anything down. Underwater, we have, divers, as I said, but also dolphins. Russians have military trained dolphins coming from Sevastopol defending this bridge. This is the most well-defended installation in the whole planet Earth. And still, Ukrainian maritime drones, marine drones or sea drones, however you call it, drove carelessly through these defenses, through the dolphins, and struck the bridge, and kaboom! One of these pillars completely destroyed. Some people were saying that Ukraine used Storm Shadow to strike this bridge, but this is false. United Kingdom's and France's joint development missile, both of these countries have not given permission to attack non-military facilities. This bridge is a non-military facility. Of course, it is used for military purposes, but it is also a civilian bridge. So Ukraine probably used their marine drones, as we can see from this satellite image. 75 kilometers southeast of Snake Island, we see these 4 dots right here. These are the marine drones. This photo is taken a few hours before the attack. This is zoom in of the same objects. 4 of them going unmanned, boat-sized vessels loaded with explosives on their way to hit the Kerch bridge and also avoid the military dolphins. We cannot forget about that. And here we can see the location. The satellite photo was made right here, and they probably crossed south from Crimea to the Kerch Strait and then to the Kerch bridge. In this footage you can see Russian Vice Prime Minister Kusnuilin reporting to Putin about the state of the damaged bridge. And I love seeing Putin taking notes. I mean, this is his pride and jewel. He has gained so much reputation for making this bridge, for giving Crimea back to the Russians, restoring the Russian Empire. And now this bridge is destroyed for the second time. He probably needs to take notes to add even more military dolphins to the defense. He's taking notes. 3 dolphins wasn't enough, add 3 more. According to Kusnuilin, one structure of the vehicle part is completely destroyed and cannot be repaired, period, at all. Cannot be repaired at all. And the railway is slightly damaged, probably very quick repairs there. Two-way traffic will be reopened on the bridge on September 15th. So at the best, the fastest repair pace, there is no two-way traffic on the bridge for 2 more months, 1.5 months. And knowing Russians, they do things slowly, and it's not going to be a quality work. It's probably even going to take longer. And the other side of the bridge will be reopened in November. According to Husnulin, one part of the bridge has to be completely removed and cannot be repaired. Russian Telegram channels report that the blame games on the Russian law enforcement agencies have begun. Who is responsible for this attack or failing to defend against this attack? The defense against the attack of this bridge was given to T Directorate of the FSB. They were responsible. So everyone working in that office under that agency are now scared. They failed to keep this bridge safe. The blame shifting is already going on. The T department is trying to shift the blame to the Russian Minister of Defense and the Russian guards. They are definitely trying to blame shift somebody else. And in the end, one scapegoat will be decided and they will be put to jail or worse. On this photo, you can see the note that was left on the door of every resident of the temporary occupied Donetsk region. They cannot now buy plane tickets, bus tickets, train tickets anymore. They're not prohibited to travel anymore because Russian tourists who want to go to Crimea now cannot use Kerch Bridge and they have to take Donetsk and Luhansk and these highways. So to leave room for these Russian tourists, Russian authorities are banning locals from traveling to give way for the Russian tourists. So you can see that Russian authorities think that Donetsk and Luhansk people are second-class citizens. They're not Russians. Also, this tells us more. We all know that Crimea gets most of their monetization through tourism. The tourism has dried up ever since Russia started digging trenches on the Crimean beaches. Really, on the beaches. They're digging trenches there. Like they're expecting an amphibious assault from Ukraine. Not in a million years. Also, there is no water. Now, there is even no possibility of water because the Nova Kakhovka reservoir is empty. Crimea got most of their water from the Nova Kakhovka reservoir. So this is Putin's last straw to lure tourists to Crimea to make some kind of profit out of this peninsula because it's a desert without water and the beaches are empty because there are trenches on the beaches and the bridge is destroyed. So now Putin and the Russian officials are trying to advertise Crimea as a safe place still. Just go through Donetsk and Luhansk and don't worry about the people. They will not be getting in your way because we have prohibited them from traveling. Alright, my friends, now let's go to another region in Russia. Yeisk, this city right here, it's in a Krasnodar region. On this footage you can see how Russia lost yet another Su-25. Now this was not a training exercise, they lost the plane. We can see how the plane plummets into the water. The pilot ejects and safely falls to the water, but he died later in hospital. Russian Minister of Defense said that this was an exercise, but I mean, if your exercises involve losing and ditching entire planes, I'm not sure how good the exercises are. The truth is, Su-25s, they are, for their time, very capable planes and resilient planes, but they do need maintenance like any planes, any high-tech military vehicle. And Russians don't do maintenance, like zero, at all. And they have a lot of these planes, and they do fly them a lot right now. And they are losing them in a regular basis because something goes wrong in the air. Because if you don't maintain, yeah, you can get the plane in the air, but something will go wrong and you have to ditch the plane. You cannot land it anymore. A million issues that can arise. So this was yet another one of those maintenance-related accidents that happen a lot in the Russian aviation. Being a pilot in the Russian Air Force is not dangerous like being a pilot in NATO Air Force because you have to fly the plane and that itself is dangerous. It is dangerous because you never know what the plane is going to do. I mean, it might fall apart under you. That's what's happening with the Russian aviation. My friends, let's go through of the Russian losses of 18th of July. Russians have revamped their counteroffensive operations. They have made some big pushes and we can see it immediately reflect in the numbers. 710 liquidated personnel, which is a record of the past, 2 weeks? So the biggest attacks of the past 2 weeks have happened last night. 4 tanks, 17 armored personnel vehicles, which means they used those a lot while pushing. 38 artillery system, one of the highest numbers at all. I mean, the absolute record is, I think, 45 throughout this entire war. So 38, very close to it. 11 UAVs, 27 vehicles and fuel tanks. I mean, I saw a lot of FPV drones smashing into Russian vehicles. Alright, my friends, now let's go to Velika Novosilka axis right here. And you see this red area here. Russians renewed their offensive operations and they have reoccupied some of the areas. As we can see, they're not even forest belts, they are fields. probably filled with mines, but Russians did reoccupy this forest belt, for example. They didn't push Ukrainians back, but they occupied area in the gray zone. And from this very same area, we have footage of a column of 4 Russian armored vehicles being destroyed one by one. Let's watch some photos. As you can see, this is the same area. Here comes the drone footage. And with this Russian column, I am surprised to see that they're actually keeping their distance. This is how a column should move. As you can see, this is about 70, 80, perhaps 100 meter distance. I cannot say anything about it. It's done correctly, but a little bit further into this footage, which I cannot show, all of them will be destroyed one by one. I think one of them hit a mine and the rest of them got hit by artillery or drones, fully destroyed. And now, my friends, let's go to Zaporizhzhia front, which is right here, and battles are happening on the outskirts of Robotine. But if we go a few clicks south from Robotine, we see a settlement of Nove. And the Russian headquarters of this entire military grouping is stationed in Nove, and Ukrainians struck the headquarters. Here is the photo of it. As you can see, the building is big and great to be a headquarters, but it was destroyed. Hole in the ceiling. And in these headquarters, there's always high commanding officers, majors, lieutenants, captains. Whoever was in that building is probably sleeping with the fishes. Oh, that's the wrong term. Knocked out cold, I wanted to say. And here we can see all that is left of the base of the Russian 57th Brigade. Russian sources say that it was struck with Storm Shadow missiles, and they say Ukrainians used at least 5 missiles. Well, I think they're over-exaggerating. I think 1 to 2 missiles will do a job like that. 5 missiles would put an entire settlement into the ground. As you can see, destroyed vehicles here, MLRS vehicles. So Ukrainians have been busy, and I'm reporting on the biggest attacks. Ukraine is attacking Russian ammunition depots, headquarters daily and every night also, but it would be very repetitive, so I'm giving you the biggest ones. My friends, Russia did not renew the grain deal. It ended yesterday, and some of you were commenting, oh, Turkish president claimed that Russia already renewed it. No, that is all false information. As I said before, Russia didn't comment anything except after the deal ended, and then Peskov commented that they are pulling out of the grain deal. So from now on, from yesterday, actually no official agreement defends Ukrainian grain ships leaving the Black Sea ports. On this satellite photo that was taken yesterday, you can see that there are near to none of the ships close to Ukrainian ports, Ukrainian coastline in the Black Sea, meaning that no ships there to sail here right now because no official agreements defends them. Time will tell if Ukraine and Turkey will make any kind of deal without Russia. Ukraine has already proposed to make such a deal because Turkey is the real player, the real king and decider of the Black Sea. Turkish fleet could wipe the floor with Russian fleet. I mean, they're so much stronger, they have so much more capabilities, and they're in NATO. Of course they could. And if Turkey agrees, and Erdogan, we know, is a strong man compared to Putin nowadays, then Russia is officially out. It's Turkey and Ukrainian grain ships will continue to sail. Russia can do nothing about it. Also, this attack of the Kerch bridge is definitely connected to the ending of the grain deal. It's no surprise it comes only 1 day after Russia announces that they will be pulling out. And as we know, Ukraine gets a lot of their money, their budget, from exporting grain and agricultural products. So this is a big thing for them. If Russia says no to that, first of all, many northern African countries who depend on Ukrainian grain will not get food. Some countries have starvation and famine in those. And second of all, Ukraine is losing a lot of money. So this attacking of the Kerch bridge definitely sends a message that you better get back into the grain deal. My friends, this is Oleg Korzan, the leader of the Transnistrian Communist Party. Transnistria is then this breakaway region, Russian-supported separatist region of Moldova. He was murdered. I mean, the Russian Communist Party actually announced or reported that he was murdered in his own home with a knife. First of all, yes, Communist Party is still a thing in Russia. I think they are the second biggest party in Russia. The first one, of course, Rehi, Putin's party, who holds, 75–80% of the seats of the Duma, State Duma, and Communist Party is the next one. And of course, the Communist Party is just a game. I mean, they are officially under Putin's power. But Transnistria has one also, and this dude was murdered. So the 90s is coming back to the ex-Soviet countries. And in Russia also, murders are very often happening now in Russia, even with guns. Luckily for Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania and Poland, these days are over. In 1996, in Estonia, we have only 1 million people. For every day, 1.5 persons were shot to death with a firearm. That was over 450 people a year for 1 million people. It was number one in murder rate, more than like Venezuela and Mexico for 1 year. So we remember that time. It was horrible. But those days are coming back under Putin. Joe Biden has given a green light for all European countries who field the F-16 fighter plane to begin training of the Ukrainian pilots whenever these countries are ready. So USA basically has said, we are not the bottleneck anymore. Do it at your own pace as fast as possible. All green lights are given. It's a very good message because Ukraine needs those planes. As I have mentioned, 9 Ukrainian mechanized brigades equipped with Western tech have not moved because there is no point in moving them. Russia has the capability up in the air to destroy tanks quite effectively. The Ka-52 Alligator Russian attack chopper can take out these Western tanks with missiles, no questions asked, and Ukraine cannot shoot them down. So with these F-16s, Ukraine could shoot them down, 50 clicks away, 100 clicks away, because the radar is 250 kilometers. Detecting the Ka-52, shooting its missiles and going back, it's not going to be shot down and the Ka-52 is destroyed. Then Ukrainian tanks can move. Right now, most of Ukrainian armor cannot be deployed because Ukraine does not have the air superiority. The purge continues. Putin is purging the army, releasing some generals, some majors from their positions, and others go to jail for their lifetimes. And the worst ones will disappear. They don't even fall out of the window, they just disappear. We have another case of firing. Not a firing squad, but just relieving from the position. Major General Vladimir Selivestrov. He commanded the 106th Airborne Division of the Russian Armed Forces near Bakhmut. And he was fired due to unaccommodating character. I'm sure it was actually because of loyalty issues and because of the purge. Or they will find some corruption charges because everyone is corrupt. If you just want to get rid of them, you point a finger on the corruption and boom, you get rid of the general. Well, all of these firings can be good or bad for Ukraine. They can be bad if somebody more capable takes the position. They can be good if it sows chaos in the Russian command structure, which it definitely does. During wartime, the less movement is happening on the command structure, the better. If you change leader, it's not just changing a leader, everything changes. A new leader comes, he has to know about his troops, know about their activities. It all takes time. The troops have to get used to him. There will be communication errors. He has a different style. There might be confrontations with a new leader. You never know. But knowing the Russian leadership and knowing how they lack good officers, it's probably good for Ukraine. They have nothing competent to replace him with. My friends, now it's time to thank the most loyal supporters of this channel. Some of these names I've seen for 4 years. Some of these names are new. And I'll be reading you 5 new patrons with Estonian pronunciation to express my gratitude in the weirdest way possible. Frank Ramberg, Mattias Anker, Mattias Sonneveld, Mikhail Pelletier, Lorne Dontegode. Thank you to these 5 people and keep putting new weird names to my Patreon. Also, my friends, I would guide you to my Twitter account because there 3 times a day you get the most important news about Ukrainian war in the most compact form possible. So with a few minutes of reading per day, you know everything that needs to be known. Also go and check out my Instagram because when I'm going to Ukraine, all of the trip will be uploaded there and you can take part of it and see what I'm doing there. As always, my friends, until my next video, Slava Ukraini.